Y'all ready?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes, sir.
All right, good afternoon. We'll wait. Clayton will walk in a second, but who knows when that's over. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Committee of the Planning Commission meeting. Today is February 17th, 5:02 p.m. We're meeting in room 280 at the Charlotte Mecklenburg Government Center. This meeting is being streamed online in accordance with all of the necessary statutes and rules and so on and so forth. Let's start with introductions, starting with our commissioners, and Shauna, please.
Shauna Neely, Planning Committee.
Will Russell, Planning Committee.
Becca Wilden, Planning Committee.
Terry Lansdale, Planning Committee. And a
I was-
happy Lunar New Year to everybody. Shinya and Kwaila.
Thank you. Shishi, is that right?
And
Yeah. I always forget this. My name's Andrew Blumenthal, and I am happy to serve as the chair of the Planning Committee and the vice chairman of the Planning Commission. Now to staff, please, Zania.
Zanya Duhaney, planning staff.
Kathy Cornett, Planning Staff.
Erin Henson, planning staff.
Jason Pauling, planning staff.
Yeah,
Catherine Mahoney, planning staff.
yeah, Jonathan, if you wouldn't mind, we'll just go around the outside as well. Thank you.
Gretchen Flores, planning staff.
Jonathan Beller, Stormwater.
Caroline Fortney, city real estate.
Thank you all very much. Do we have anybody online? Nothing. All right. First order of business, can we please assume if there are no questions, motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting on January 20th?
Motion to approve, Wilden. Second, Neely.
Motion by Wilden, second by Neely. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We have 3 mandatory referrals this evening. I actually do have a question about the third one, 2603. Would anybody else like to pull any of the other 2 mandatory referrals this evening? All right, hearing nothing. Caroline, thank you for being here with us. Looking at this one, I guess I'm just curious kind of what the overall strategy is. I see that there were several mandatory referrals across Catherine Simmons Avenue. This one looks like it's a single family home, and the justification is, just to preserve affordable housing and strengthen safety in the area. I would just like to learn a little bit more about kind of how this property fits into that objective.
Okay, so in regards to some of those mandatory referrals, they're kind of all scattered about, but for context, right across the street is a property the city conveyed to Dream Key Partners. Dream Key Partners then developed for sale affordable townhome units, and so those have been sold. And then down in the bottom left was another city-owned property, and that was also conveyed to Dream Key Partners. They're calling that development Phoenix Rising, and it will be for sale affordable townhomes as well. And then there's other investments in this area by the city which aren't reflected. They're financial investments to help rehab existing housing. So then you have some other ones that one is like the county park, it's the 2004, and then just at the 25-55, that was one that we recently brought not too long ago. So that was part of this kind of bigger strategy. So the one before you today, and then the one from 25-55. So what Housing and Neighborhood Services is trying to do is invest in this community in a different way than they have in the past. So for this one tonight, they are looking at this as an opportunity to either invest in that existing home by rehabbing it and reselling it, or looking at the site as a whole as a redevelopment opportunity. And so the larger strategy at play here is just looking at the overall community needs And so this is in the Beatties Ford corridor of opportunity. So I'm not really a part of the task force or that planning. I'm just really helping facilitate this transaction. But from what I understand, there's a larger collaboration between the city and the county, trying to reduce crime, address homelessness, and like strengthen the existing community. And so there's different players trying to invest in their own different ways. And so housing has already been invested in this area, but they're trying to take a kind of a different approach, a more proactive approach. And so this is part of that more proactive strategy. So whereas some of those other examples I provided, that was I'm actually not even sure how we had those properties, but those were properties in our inventory and which we made available for affordable housing development. So this one is a little bit different where they're have proactively sought after a few acquisition opportunities. So as far as like the future, I don't know exactly what may be next for them. They'll kind of let me know, but that's kind of the strategy here with this one.
No, thank you. And I mean, you can see, with the going all the way back to 2004, right? Kind of the 22-year now tenure of acquiring properties right here in this corridor. I think that you touched on this. My question was really around, you're buying a corner lot that is larger than the average parcel size by a decent amount, right? And it only has a single family home on it. So is the intention, and you said that it could be a rehab, not that I have a say in it, but this feels like it could be something denser. Right?
Yeah.
Just if the
Yeah.
intention is affordable housing and unit count.
Right. So I would, my guess is that at least the excess land would be used for new development. And then the future of that existing home hasn't been determined yet, but it is something that could be demolished. That is an option
Got
that
it.
will be looked at.
And I would imagine this is the case when in this partnership specifically, right? When you look at buying these lots, these are vacant homes, correct? It's not something that's leased out and there's a tenant in place.
So there is, in this case, so we haven't really gotten very far into negotiations. So
Okay.
there's not been any due diligence as far as what exactly is the situation, but based on our conversations, there is a tenant that lives there.
Okay.
However, there are strategies in place to manage a tenant in the interim, and there's also services available that would help with relocation. So it wouldn't just be an acquisition and then pushing somebody out.
Yeah, well, just with a
yeah.
public acquisition, there needs to be like an extreme sensitivity to displacement, right?
Correct. And housing, I think, is thinking through that, and they're bringing on contracts to help manage some of that too, as well, like the property manager, if there were a tenant in place. So.
Awesome. Thank you. That answers my question very well. I appreciate it. Does anybody else have follow-ups on that one? Great. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Unless that answer infuriated anyone, happy to entertain a motion for an approval of all three.
Motion, Wilden. The planning committee reviewed mandatory referral reports 26-01, 26-02, and 26-03 on February 17th and have no additional comments for the submitting agency.
Second, Sealy.
Motion Wilden, second Sealy, all in favor, please say aye. All right, any opposed? None. Thank you very much.
Can I do a point of order real quick?
It depends, maybe. Or you
Happy
wanna wait?
birthday, happy belated birthday, Clayton. Anyways, continue.
Clay, oh, wait, Clay, what's happening?
He's coming right back.
All right. All right. I don't know what's happening here. We've lost all sense of order. All right, our other agenda item this evening, with Aaron is the Community Area Planning Roadshow. Kathy, are you introducing this, Aaron? Or are you just jumping right in?
Sure. So Aaron our team has designed a community area planning roadshow, and it was actually a item that came out of our engagement. That was a suggestion that we design this sort of a program to post adoption of the community area plans, but you know, we're still kind of in that phase. It can be used for those that are in the deferred batch and those are in the adopted batch. But the point of it is to bring out the community area plans to neighborhood organizations and actually focus on the area plan that that organization is within. And more generally and broader speaking, like how can you use as a community, the community area plans, how will elected and appointed officials use them and all of that, and answer any questions kind of in a smaller setting. And I think so far we've done 3, 4, 2. So the goal is about 2 per month. And we've had a lot of interest, so I don't think we've had to really shop it around or anything that much. And we'll continue this moving forward in perpetuity, I guess you'd say.
Awesome. As a quick preface, what happened today at noon with this? There may have been an answer I haven't seen, but I think there was some technical difficulty around the noon meeting today.
So there was a noon virtual meeting. So there's 3 meetings, just for anyone that might be listening. There was one that was last Thursday. There was a virtual option today that did go on as planned, and we had pretty good attendance. And then there's another in-person opportunity Thursday night. For today's virtual meeting, the virtual meetings, you have to register through Eventbrite. And when you do that, you get a link. Sometimes that confuses people. So I have asked for more information around what the specific situation is. And if it looks like something where the link wasn't working for whatever reason, or there was some kind of glitch, we can look at rescheduling. Look at rescheduling a makeup. But it would be helpful to learn a little bit more about the circumstances.
Follow up, my guess is that it's exactly what you said. I just heard from a few commissioners, Commissioner Stewart and Millen, that they were not able to get in and that there were a few neighbors who weren't able to get in. My guess is they didn't register and they just knew that it was at noon and tried to just log in unsolicited, for lack of a better word. So that was probably the issue. I don't know that with any certainty, but that makes a lot of sense, is that they just didn't register. So we can follow up there and let everyone know. And then my only other question before Aaron jumps in is, what geographies have happened and what are the ones that are on the books? Just so as we think about kind of what gaps we can fill in here.
So there's 7 that were adopted. I wish I had that slide. Do you have that slide or in your?
Yes, I do.
Erin actually has a slide in her presentation of the deferred and adopted. So it's the southern half of Charlotte Mecklenburg's plans were adopted, and kind of the the rest. It kind of lines up with the crescent and the wedge, to be quite honest.
But that's where the roadshow meetings were and are scheduled.
So the roadshow
That's
meeting.
what I meant the roadshow meetings, like
Oh, where have they been?
Yeah.
South Inner and
South Inner and East, Middle, and Outer.
Okay.
So, no, excuse me, not East, Middle, and Outer, North, Middle, and Outer so
Okay.
far. And we've received a request from Northeast Inner for later in March, Southwest Outer, Southwest Outer, things like that. So they're trickling in, but
awesome.
we're presenting to deferred and adopted areas.
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't mean to steal your thunder, Aaron. I will kick it to you. Save questions for the end, please, everyone. Jeez. And thank you.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Erin Henson. I'm a planner on the long range planning team, and we appreciate a few minutes of your time on the agenda this evening to walk through what we're calling the Community Area Planning Roadshow, as Kathy mentioned. So tonight, I'll just start with a quick overview of the project. We'll walk through some of the higher level logistics and then spend the majority of the time actually walking through an example presentation for you all. And it is the South Inner one that we've already given one time to the Montford Park community, just so you can get an idea for what we're actually taking out to the neighborhoods when requested. So, we understand that the community area plans, they can often, feel overwhelming or technical. So the intent of the roadshow is to really break the material and the plans down into like simple and usable pieces to help show residents, as Kathy mentioned, what's in the plan and then how it can be applied to them specifically and their community specifically. And then again, we're going to walk through a roadshow presentation. So I'll just hit this slide a little higher level. But as I mentioned a minute ago, the roadshow provides some overview context of the community area planning process, as well as provides a deeper dive into the plan content and then how to apply it. So from a logistics standpoint, we are offering a approximately 20-minute presentation that can be added to an existing meeting agenda. So we're currently, as Kathy mentioned, accepting 2 requests per month, Tuesday through Thursday, typically, given staff's availability, and we are open to either in-person or virtual meeting settings. And then all materials are going to be made available digitally so that people and residents can access them anytime before or after the roadshow presentation. So project development, it began the end of last year, kind of fall, winter 2025. And then we did what we're kind of calling like a soft launch earlier this year in January, just to see what kind of interest we would get on the roadshow. And we received January's 2 meeting requests almost immediately. And we are already coordinating future requests for February and March. And then this work is ongoing. So, we're committed to accepting these requests as long as there's a demand. So now we'll go through some of like the materials that we've developed to support this effort. So one of which is a project video, which outlines the roadshow content from kind of a higher level. Because we understand that like receiving this information, it could be desirable to certain, communities for whatever reason, or if someone just wants to share it, it's not specific to a geography, but it walks through the plan a little bit higher level just to provide that overview. And we can play it.
We want to ensure that in 2021, we adopted Charlotte until 2021. A roadmap for our cities. To put that vision into action, we developed 14 community areas, each one tailored to a different part of the city and shaped by thousands of residents who shared their ideas, priorities, and hopes for their neighborhoods. First, the plans highlight your community's greatest needs and point to which comprehensive plan goals should be prioritized. All goals are important, but these plans focus on the ones that are most urgent for your area. Next, the plans show where development is expected to change and where it should match the existing character of the neighborhood. These plans also include tools to help you evaluate whether a development proposal supports your community's priorities. These are especially useful during rezonings. And you don't have to wait for a rezoning to use the plans. The Neighborhood Toolkit offers programs and ideas that you can use right now, like organizing a cleanup, starting a mural, planting trees, improving a park, or even requesting sidewalk repairs. Community area plans are your roadmap to shaping growth and ensuring it benefits your community. Explore it, share it with your neighbors, and use it to help shape what comes next.
Oh, thank you. So hopefully, again, that can just be used as a way that people can share something really quick, easy, a higher level overview if they are interested. Next. And then some of the other materials included, we also developed more geography specific presentations. So this is the presentation that we'll be giving if we're invited to attend a neighborhood meeting. Depending on where we are asked to come out, we'll tailor the presentation materials to that geography, because each plan speaks to different needs, goals, anticipated change. So that geography specific content kind of helps keep it relatable and understandable for the community as they're receiving it. And then finally, you guys have some in front of you, but we've created handouts that explain things like key terms, the place types, the rezoning process, and then the community area plan spreads, which is that green South Inner one that you have in front of you. And that one will again depend on what area we're in. But really the goal with all of the materials was just consistency. So whether a resident hears one of the presentations, watches the video, downloads the materials later, we just wanted to keep the messaging clear and accessible for everybody. And then now, if you guys are, and if you're okay with it, we'll spend the rest of the time walking through an example roadshow presentation. So if you guys just bear with me and pretend that we're in a South Inner neighborhood and you guys have requested that we come out. This is the presentation that we would give to you all. Okay, so again, thank you for having us, this evening. So we're here to talk about the South Inner Community Area Plan, which is one of the 14 plans across Charlotte that will guide how our city grows and changes over the next 20 years. So tonight we'll share how you can use your community area plan to do a couple things. One, see where change is and is not expected. Two, support development projects that fit your community's vision. And three, tap into resources to start community-led projects today. So as you all know, growth has been continuously coming to Charlotte for decades, and Charlotte's expected to keep growing. So in response to that growth, our city adopted the Charlotte Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan in 2021. And its vision is really to make sure that growth benefits as many people as possible by creating more housing choices, job opportunities, improving access to goods and services, and reducing environmental impacts. And the community area plans are one way that we helped to put that vision into action. So community area plans, they were created for every part of the city, and your neighborhood, for pretend tonight, falls within the South Inner Community Area Plan, which is that dark green geography that you see here on the screen. And the plans, they were created the same way at the same time. So they do include the same main parts and structure. However, each plan includes information that's specific to the area that it represents. And before diving in to the plan, we'd like to note that on November 24th, 2025, Charlotte City Council, they approved 7 of the 14 community area plans. The other 7, they were put on hold while the city gathers more public feedback. And we're referring to these plans right now as draft plans until they're adopted. And as you can see, the South Inner plan, or your plan, it was adopted in November. So the plan starts by identifying your community's greatest needs, and it highlights which comprehensive plan goals should be prioritized given that need. So of course, every goal in the comprehensive plan is important, but the plan really highlights what goals are most important to your community. And for South Inner, that greatest need was found to be access to housing. So that means these goals here on the screen should consistently rise to the top when decisions such as rezonings or public investments are being made. Goal 2, which states the desire for a variety of housing types throughout the city. Goal 3, which speaks to the hope for affordable housing options for residents of all incomes. Goal 4, which encourages mixed use development in areas that have strong public transit options. And Goal 9, which speaks to the importance of protecting the character of existing neighborhoods as the city grows. So after identifying the key needs and goals, the plan uses the 2040 policy map, which is the map here on the screen, to show where development should and should not occur, or should and should not change in and around your area. So the different colors that you see here on the map are what we call place types. And they speak to the different types of development that are appropriate in your area. And you can reference place type descriptions in your plan's appendix or on the back of the teal handout that you received tonight. So when thinking about the future of South Inner, your plan recommends that 78% of existing development remain the same. So this includes established neighborhoods, which is that pale yellow color that you see on the map. And then also, with that being said, 22% is recommended for a place type change so that future development can help address your community's greatest needs and goals. So for example, existing commercial development at the intersection of Park Road and Woodlawn Road in this area, it's envisioned to become a community activity center. And this recommendation could add a greater mix of uses and density to the area. Community activity centers work really well near residential areas because they provide that access to goods and services for the neighbors, but they guide that redevelopment to certain areas that can support that growth, therefore protecting the character of the established neighborhoods, which was again one of the main goals in the South Inner Community Area Plan. Yeah, sorry.
Wait till the end.
I'm vice chair. Okay, so
Nice.
for the, right? How did you get the 78-22%? Is it just based on like current, like what's in place now?
Well, when we developed that,
Uh-huh.
we had 3 steps, and the first was to map what's on the ground today, so we can do that comparison. So a lot of like Park Road Shopping Center is today characterized as commercial, but recommended for CAC.
Got it. Yeah, Suarez is my favorite bakery and it's in Park Road Shopping Center, just in case anyone's wondering. Sponsor me. Thank you.
So here you can see an example of the commercial place type on the left. You can see that the roads are bigger. There's more one-story buildings. It's just overall more auto-oriented and a lot less walkable. And then the picture on the right shows an example of community activity center place type. And you can see it has a mixture of uses. The buildings are taller. The buildings could include a mixture of housing, shops, offices, smaller streets, just, promoting more walkability and mixed uses in that community activity center. So the next chapter of the plan, it's called Supporting the Vision. And here you can find tools to help you check whether a development proposal supports your community's priorities. So this section includes assessment tables or checklists that speak to things like mobility or open space. And each checklist highlights the most important improvements needed when new mixed-use development is proposed for your area. So these checklists, they give us a clear way to identify the most impactful improvements so that future growth creates the kind of places that you all want and need in your community. So we've talked about the first 2 ways that you can use these plans. And before I move on to the third, I want to note how policy influences regulation. It's important to understand that everything mentioned so far, the comprehensive plan, community area plans, and place types, they're all guidance or ideas of what should happen, and they're not legally binding in any way. But that guidance was designed to work with an important tool called the Unified Development Ordinance, which was also adopted by City Council. And the UDO, it outlines specific rules for the development that can be built, and these rules are legally required. So now let's discuss how your community area plan can be used during the rezoning process. A rezoning happens when a property owner wants to use their land in a way that the current zoning just doesn't allow for. So for example, building a gas station on land that is currently zoned for just single family homes or residential uses. So when that happens, the request goes through a public process and City Council decides whether or not that change makes sense. But this is also where your community area plan could be very helpful. So staff uses the plan to review rezoning requests to check whether development proposals match the community's priorities and the policy map. So if we look at an example, let's suppose that a property owner at Park Road and Woodlawn would like to rezone their property from a commercial district to a community activity center district because they envision a different use than what the current zoning allows for. And let's say that proposed development would add sidewalks, bicycle infrastructure, and it may be near a greenway connection point. So the community, or you all, and planning staff should look to the South Inner Community Area Plan and evaluate how appropriate the proposed development really is. So in this scenario, a change from commercial to a mixed-use development would match the policy map's recommendation for community activity center. It could add new housing units to the area and create more job opportunity and access to goods and services. And also the proposal for sidewalks and bicycle infrastructure and greenway connection, it would make the area more walkable and less car dependent. So in this case, that request would help advance the South Inner's needs and goals, and it would likely be supported. And then if you're interested in learning more about the rezoning process, we've provided you all with a handout that outlines the key steps. But as you just saw, your community area plan is a powerful tool in this process. And then finally, there is one more way that you can use the plan today. And this one does not require waiting for a rezoning or a large development project. You can check out the neighborhood toolkit, which is in your plan's appendix. And it's really a guide that lists programs and resources that you and your neighbors can use to bring community projects and ideas to life. So things like improving a park, organizing a neighborhood cleanup, asking for sidewalk repairs, things like that. The toolkit will show you how to get started on that process. And then again, the South Inner Plan, it was already adopted by council in November. However, there are still ways to share your voice on the draft plans if you're interested. So here are a few ways that we're spreading the word and taking the draft plans to the community. So those are here on the screen. I did this before February, so we've done one of these already, but that was for the South Inner community. So in summary, we really hope this presentation helped to explain what's in the South Inner Plan and how you can use it to shape your community's future. And then with that, we would take any questions from the community, but I'll take any from you guys this time.
So thank you, Erin. I think that is a fantastic presentation, very easy to follow, simple to understand. So, I mean, I think it's great in helping the community, understand what's happening. I guess my question so far is, have you gotten any pushback or questions from the community, where they're trying to change as opposed to be educated? I mean, how are you handling that?
I mean, really, no. I mean, our first two presentations, again, we did North, Middle, and Outer. We did the Derrida neighborhood, and we did South Inner with Montford Park, and it really was well received. People really appreciated the handouts and the materials, and asked for digital copies of the presentation. It really has been well received so far. Yes. Thanks.
Anybody else? Terry?
A couple of questions, I guess maybe about 8 slides back. Have you gotten any questions about how you define open space? Is that public open space, private open space? I mean, I know this is more of a question for me. You say a little bit, does this project provide a park space? Talk to me about the difference, or do you guys have a line in the sand about defining public space?
We haven't received that question specifically in either of these presentations, but I will say, or I'll say, and then turn it over to Kathy and Catherine if they have any additional thoughts. But the plan itself, it covers a lot of what we consider open space. Before going into that assessment table, it covers the aspirations of the open space, and then it does qualify some of them, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, as Erin said, in the plan, in the park and open space and the community character chapters kind of overlap, because those things do overlap. So not only, and there's assessments in terms of the needs for each area from an activity center perspective, but it doesn't just look at your traditional Mecklenburg County owned facility. It also looks at smaller open spaces and things that may not be in the county's purview as well.
That's fantastic. Another question as well on the rezoning flow chart. I guess a detail I'd love to be able to see on this to help people know a little bit more, yeah, I think that's super right there. Would be great to kind of identify in these steps, when exactly is the first and last opportunity for the public to comment on a rezoning overview. I think it's important. I even got listening to the rezoning and chatting online last night on the YouTube channel. People were asking questions, really good questions in the chat about, oh, how do you get involved? We should do this, we should do that. There was some action questions that were asked. I think maybe if maybe have a chance to touch this or follow up, be good to kind of, first opportunity, last opportunity, just to give a window of when people can be involved, because right now it looks like city speaks at item 4 is the only kind of clear opportunity, and that windows sometimes creeps up on people and they're not able to do that. So anyway, awesome job, great job. Those are just some questions that I
Thank you.
have looking at it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Anybody else? Aaron, thank you. The only question I had is actually less about the presentation itself and more when you to actually piggyback on what Becca mentioned, the 7822. How does that compare to other geographies around the city in terms of the 78 stays the same, 22 is kind of targeted to be a different place type?
So in general, all of them have a majority that remains the same.
Yeah.
And a percentage that changes. On average, it's 33% change
Got it.
citywide.
Okay. So I mean, that's not far off of that. Right?
It's strategic change to
Right.
accommodate the growth and improve the need.
Yeah, I was just curious, like South Inner versus, some of the larger geographies
Yeah.
too. Right?
Yeah. There are differences, but on average, it's a 33% change.
Awesome. Thank you. No, that was it. This is super helpful to Shauna's point. It's very easily interpreted, right? Like you're not confusing anybody with acronyms and big words. It's kind of second grade down the middle, right? So, great job. Thank you very much. No other questions. I think we're good there. And unless I'm wrong, that's the last item on the agenda, right?
There was
oh,
a question that we.
Yeah, go ahead, Becca.
So for folks on the committee, we are trying to line up like speakers for the next couple months. And so we wanted to see if y'all had any suggestions for speakers. And if so, please share them with us.
Yeah, so just for reference, so Rebecca had suggested Historic District Commission, and we're gonna line that up with Aaron Chantry as well, but they requested to come in May, which means that both March and April are unspoken for, let's say. So if there are any ideas, especially while we have Kathy here as well.
Ed
Yeah.
McKinney to talk about CDOT
Say what?
and their chunk of the PAVE Act.
Kathy, I don't know if you heard Will, he said building permits, and Clay said Ed McKinney. Terry, you had a suggestion too, I think.
Well, I think the two outstanding for me are the water management and usage with Duke Energy. That would be fantastic to get that in there, whether it be the Catawba River Keeper and elements thereof.
Yeah, we've had the Catawba Land Conservancy before.
We'd like to maybe talk about water management and capital
Yeah.
resources along those lines. And then
Do you have a natural point of contact there?
no, I think I shared it with leadership last year.
Oh,
So
man,
we've
no,
identified
okay.
some individuals, but I'll follow up with you and.
If you wouldn't mind, and I can loop Kathy in as well, then
Sure.
we can work either towards March or April. And then permitting, I'll talk with you about that. If you have somebody to.
We're gonna do that in April when I'm not here. I'm just kidding. We can do it whenever, but.
And Mr. Chair, as a follow-up as well, in March, I believe there's some
Yeah.
public outreach for emergency planning
Okay.
that's happened by council. I think it would be fantastic to maybe have representatives of the CRTPO or city staff to talk about the emergency plans and evacuation plans.
Okay.
There should be or have been worked on over the past couple of years. I think there's going to be possibly some interest about if and when something happens, hurricane, flood, some other issue, what our transportation system
Flips,
means to the safety of our community.
CRTPO is the point there?
Yeah, that would be the starting point for that, yeah.
Okay,
There's-
so
they're the
you have
leads.
somebody from CRTPO.
I'll follow up with you with an email for that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You said Ed McKinney as well,
Mhm.
and then permanent Will, and I will circle up. I mean, we have what, March, April, May is historic, and then is historic, and then June.
June,
so-
we should have a party.
Eh, we'll see. We could have pizza with Ed McKinney. Thank you all. That's helpful. If we can make all of that happen, that gets us actually through the end of this year. So, Kathy will circle up there. Thank you all. Clayton, thanks for joining us for 30 seconds.
I was being
I
misinformed.
don't need we don't need a motion. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. You wanna-